So we've all heard of political polling. We talk about it all the time here on All Talk. But what if instead of asking people who they think will win an election, you could actually put your money where your mouth is? That's exactly what prediction markets are doing. Kalshi, a federally regulated prediction market, has just launched a major election hub ahead of the 2026 midterms. Users can trade contracts on everything from who will win control of Congress to the outcome of individual races. Supporters say prediction markets are often more accurate than traditional polls because people have real money at stake. Critics say they turn democracy into gambling, could influence voters instead of simply measuring opinion, and may even create opportunities for wealthy traders to manipulate public perception. Joining us now is Roshini Rajkumar, political strategist, attorney, and host of the Crisis Files. Good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. This topic is scary while at the same time pretty exciting that here we are in modern times talking about this, that all of this is happening, that something could actually be challenging polls, which I've never been a big fan of the polls in the first place. But here's what I'm concerned about. It's not even really just Kalshi or prediction markets versus the polls. It's, will this end up influencing, falsely, the actual candidates, the campaigns, and we're not really getting the honest truth out of those different campaigns and candidates, and people maybe being influenced by others instead of just one person, one vote.
Yeah, I feel like this is beyond the slippery slope a little bit. Like now we're slipping. I don't know. It makes me a little nervous. Just kind of explain how a prediction market works a little bit for people who don't understand it.
Well, this is such a hot topic. We've actually even covered it a couple of months ago now on the Crisis Files, and I had an attorney who's in the kind of gambling law and all of those prediction markets. Unlike traditional sports gambling, when you go in and you say, okay, I want my horse to win. You want number 4, I want number 9, Kevin. And, number 4 comes in, you get the money. And if someone loses, someone wins. So, we're winning. If you win, the house loses. If I lose, the house wins. In a prediction market, it's really more, think of it as a contract. So there's people that say the positive of it, horse number 4 will win. The others say horse number 4 will not. And they're actually doing a contract, which is very different from just buying that $2, $3 betting card at the track. So that's as simply as I can explain it. Obviously, there are other layers, but it's actually something that people, it really, the prediction markets seem to always be winning. That's how I would just put it into really simple terms. So being in that situation, if you don't really have the financial wherewithal to be making those kinds of bets in this, someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, but it's really a contract. And there are different federal laws that also apply here, not just state by state. So there are a lot of regulatory issues going on in the prediction market space. And you've probably also seen a lot of headlines, Kalshi versus Poly market. So, this is a hot topic right now. And my big advice as a crisis strategist and someone who wants to prevent crisis in anyone's life is don't dive deeply into this pool unless you really understand it. And even if you understand it, it doesn't mean you're always winning.
Yeah, it's sort of like cryptocurrency a little bit, meaning that you need to understand what you're doing. But what worries me is that the big money will be on candidate A. And so me as a voter will either maybe stay home because I don't think candidate B will win, or maybe I'll even vote for candidate A just because I want to be with the winning team. I worry that where the money is, it could influence how the election and vote actually plays out.
Exactly. And that is my biggest fear about this situation, where one person, one vote, you're supposed to go in there confidentially, whether at the polls, your mail-in ballot, and vote. And you shouldn't be influenced by anything but your own judgment, your own discernment, and your education on the topic, whether it's a referendum or the candidate in a particular race. When you're looking at this situation, and Kalshi's reporting out what their election market is saying, you might just kind of phone it in or go with the crowd, that kind of thing, even to a different extent than with polls. So this is scary. The other thing is, depending on the timing of when some of the results are out there, and I'm guessing it's real time any day you want to know them, that could influence campaigns or candidates to do certain things that might not even be authentic. Who knows even if they're legal, just to kind of get it swayed in a certain way. And I think that is different from just general polling.
I also wonder when it comes to donors, if the campaign is trying to raise money and the big donors are saying, look, you're getting crushed on Polymarket, you're getting crushed on Kalshi. They say you can't win. I can't give you any more money. And they can do that based off of polling as well. But I wonder if it's just another influencer that may not always be accurate. It can't always be accurate.
It just can't. I mean, it's an inaccurate influencer. Again, it is gambling. And that's what I want everyone to remember. And even in the legislation that's out there in the various states trying to regulate these kinds of prediction markets or the prediction markets, there's money that's always set for, I'm just going to call it gambling addiction. They try to call it other things, but that's what it is. And so the very fact that you have to put into your legislation something about, well, there better be funds just in case anyone gets addicted to this or they lose their house because they haven't told their spouse they're doing all this. I mean,
right.
That to me is very questionable about this whole topic.
Yeah, it's a little worrisome. I also am interested in why these seem to be more accurate than traditional polling. Do you think that it's because people want to say one thing if a poller calls? Is that different than I really think this person's going to win, so I'm putting my money here? But if a poller calls, it might be, I don't know, you might tell a pollster something different than what you truly believe.
What I am going to say to that is a poll is a moment in time, whatever, 500, 1,000, 3,000 people, whatever it is. And I mean, how many times have you hung up on a pollster or not responded to a text? So
never. I love to mess with them.
Okay, well, you and I are different in that one way, because I'm just like, I'm done with this. That's spam. So it's really just random. I guess that's what I'm going to say here. And just this morning, I was watching CNBC, and a guy who's on Kalshi's board was the guest of Squawk Box, and he was talking about how the regulation of this is what is, he says, very positive about this. What I would say is when you have people like this guy who used to be on a regulatory board, now he's on the board of directors for Kalshi, so he has a financial interest. However, they are used to lots of data. They are analyzing everything you can analyze before it even kind of is going to show up on our radar on the Kalshi spread or the Polymarket spread. So it just has more data behind it. And in most cases, that ends up being more accurate. But at the end of the day, it's not even about what they're putting out there and reporting. It's who is it going to sway that hasn't already made up their minds? Or, is there an undue influence by just the very fact that it is on one of these prediction markets? So this is a hot topic. There's so many crisis layers to this, or possible crisis, that I'm going to keep a very eagle eye on it, Kevin.
Yeah, just a few seconds left, but couldn't billionaires invest in one person and create a false narrative that this person is going to win because the money's on them because a few billionaires decided to do it?
Absolutely. And think about AI infiltrates through all of this, and false bios or different things that AI could be creating that are leading, maybe misleading the researchers and the data behind these prediction markets. So it's
crazy.
It's a lot.
It is crazy. Yeah. Roshini Rajkumar, political strategist, attorney, and host of the Crisis Files. Thank you so much.
Thank you.